Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so we got a couple things to talk about that we didn't mention. So let's get into it. First of all, the Dallas Mavericks have hired their coach. His name is Dusty May, University of Michigan coach. Of course, Michigan just came off the national championship. They got 3 players in the lottery range to be drafted, guys that I think all 3 of them are going to be awesome. So it's not overly surprising to see him make the jump to the NBA after what we just saw there. And it's going to be interesting to see what the Dallas Mavericks do, because from what I understand, they may be interested in making a trade with the Thunder. They're discussing it, from what I heard, about trading their number 9 pick for the Thunder 2 picks, which are in the middle of the first round. There is a world where they're going to try to put 2 of Dusty's guys on his team, which is what I would want to do if I'm Dusty. Bring me Mara and bring me, or probably not Mara. Mara's probably going to be going at 8 in my opinion. But like, there's a world where they can maybe bring Morris Johnson and Yaxel Lindeborg together to the Dallas Mavericks. I'm concerned that the Mavericks are not going to get a guard in that equation. But they do have pick number 30, which I don't think they would have to involve in anything, where they could probably try to get a guard in the second round range, somebody. So I still think they need to be targeting a guard, but if you bring in a guy like Dusty to your team, you probably want to get at least one Michigan guy, if not both, 2 of them. But, there's a world where those guys are gone. I think Morris Johnson could probably be going at 13. I think so. Yaxel probably going at like 11 or something like that. So there's a world where they still don't get those guys. But if they do a move like that, I wouldn't be overly surprised. The Thunder probably do need to make some moves to try to assure that they have, everything that they need. The roster spots may not be fillable, and they have more picks than they probably have roster spots right now. So they've already done a deal, since we're talking about the Thunder, last night, getting Aaron Wiggins over to Atlanta for 2 second-rounders, which is Atlanta's 2030 pick and the least favorable of the Hawks and Laker pick in 2032. So second-rounders for Aaron Wiggins, pretty solid for the Hawks. I'm not really sure what the vision is for Aaron Wiggins and the Hawks. You want him to have a bigger role, of course, leaving the Thunder. I don't know that they have a bigger role for him in Atlanta, although most people are just shooing him in to be a starter. I don't see that. They still got Reece Sachet. Obviously, they got Jalen Johnson. And they still have 2 picks from which to choose from in this draft. So I don't know if they're going to get a wing or not. And I'm, not thinking about some other guys that they maybe have as well. Mohamed Gay, I think, is a free agent or something like that. I'm not really sure. But hopefully this opens up a spot somehow for Aaron Wiggins to have a little more minutes with the Thunder, because we know he could play. He could play. The question is, how good is he? Since he's been stuck on the Thunder for his entire career, they haven't need him to be nothing but a role player. But I think he's a little better than that, if not a lot better than that. Who knows? We'll see. So that's the thing there. And then something else, what is it? Hawks also solidified C.J. McCollum to a 1-year, $21 million contract, plus a trade kicker that comes with that. That's a J.J. Redick deal. That's what I call that. J.J. used to sign these deals as 1-year, $20 million deals. Nobody else signed contracts with J.J. most of the time, and it seems like C.J.'s doing the same. I don't think it harms anything but the pocketbooks for if it's a 1-year deal and it's coming off the books. So it's not. No matter what it is, it's a 1-year deal. You always appreciate that. It's just whether or not you want to give that much of the cap to one player for 1 year. But as far as I can tell, he's worth that to them based on what we just saw. Solidifying that they have some scoring in their guard rotation, because Nas and who else? Nah and what's his name? Dyson Daniels, and I was thinking of Wallace. Those guys are not exactly scorers. Interesting stuff. Aaron Wiggins now plays with the other Wallace now. He played with Kason Wallace. Now he's going to be playing with his brother in Atlanta, so I think that's a little interesting there. But yeah, man, that's what's going on with the Hawks. The Hawks are making moves. They're doing things. They are doing things. I don't hate that deal. That 1-year deal for CJ for 21 is fine. I wouldn't want to give him more than 1 year on that dollar amount, but for one season, that's pretty fair. And of course, the big news is Trae Young signing a $212 million 4-year deal. I think that's like $54 million a year. Staying with them, he has a player option in year 4, which I definitely don't agree with. I definitely don't agree with that. $49 million player option in the 4th year. No, he declined his $49 million player option on this past contract so that he could sign this deal. My understanding after listening to some content talking about this is that because of the shift in what's going on with draft picks, now it doesn't require teams to be as bad to get high-level draft picks, but you can get docked for being too bad. So what the idea was is that the Washington Wizards needed to secure Trae Young so that Trae Young is not taken from them by a team like Sacramento or Brooklyn, who is not going to be very good, or Milwaukee going forward if they make a move, who's not going to be very good, but don't want to be terrible to secure that they're not in that restricted, bad team, area of the standings next year. So, make sure he's happy, make sure he's locked in, because he's the exact type of free agent that teams are going to want to sign to assure that they're not so bad that they're in that restricted area. I think Austin Reeves is also in that boat too. Austin's a guy with the Brooklyn Nets probably want to sign, or a bad team want to sign to assure that they can at least get 35 wins. They may want to pay him a little more than what we suddenly thought. So this kind of sets the market for those type of pieces. And it's just a different calculus than what we've ever seen. So I think free agency is going to be highly affected. From what I understand, pick swaps now mean more in 2030 and 2031, since there's going to be signaling the end of this this experiment that this commissioner is doing with punishing tanking teams and evening up the odds for most of the league to get the first overall pick. That's when that contract expires. So you don't really know what is going to be the calculus next. Maybe they go back to the old ways as to which picks mean something different. So it's a different type of risk now, trading picks past that year. So it's interesting stuff going on in the NBA. People are trying to adjust quickly to the changes that were made there. So Trae Young gets the benefit from that. I told you guys when he opted out a few days ago that I didn't expect he would go anywhere else. I didn't think the Wizards were in a worse position than when he was traded there. So why would they have a different point of view? They, meaning his team, the people in his camp, have a different point of view on the Wizards than they did when they got there. I don't see a reason why they would. If he's opting out, that means he expects that they will restructure the deal, give him more years, which I thought is what it is he would want. Not only did they give him more years, but they gave him a few extra bonus dollars and a player option. So I think this contract is a little richer than what I would have been comfortable giving him if I'm the Wizards. But I think the Wizards are the exact team that can feel good about doing it, because they have a bunch of the heavy lifting players on their team on rookie contracts. And they are desperate to exit the win later timeline. So this is one of the situations where you give him this big deal, and then you're counting on Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, the Bonster, whom I expect they'll draft tomorrow, Riley, Bub Carrington, Trey Johnson. That's the core young players that are expected to do the heavy lifting. Anthony Davis is a question mark, although I did hear yesterday that he's more open to staying there now and also wants to restructure a deal to stay there. So, like, the majority of their cap is going to those two guys, Trae Young and Anthony Davis, if Davis resigns. And the rest of the guys who are making the team function are on rookie contracts, who are more than capable of playing much better than what a rookie contract would be. So that's a perfect situation for this type of thing. Rather than having a bunch of guys on multi-year solidified heavy contracts, you got a good 60% of your team on rookie contracts, even doing all types of rebounding and scoring and defending, and you're hardly paying them anything. So the flip side to that is De'Aaron Fox. You know, you don't want to find yourself in a De'Aaron Fox situation where you've given this guy this big contract, and then you got other players waiting in the ring ready to do what he wants. He does, brother, and at a much lower cost of whom you're going to have to pay soon. So it gets weird. But I think the calculus that we just described in regards to mediocre type of teams wanting players to make them okay can, in theory, apply to the trade market of De'Aaron Fox should the Spurs decide they want to trade him, because now you can find a team that doesn't want to be horrible and offer them De'Aaron Fox's contract, and maybe they'd be willing to take it based on the idea that he could be a star-level player that gives them at least 35 wins if he's playing his best every night. So you hope, if you're the Spurs, that opens up the market for De'Aaron Fox if you decide you want to move it, which, in my opinion, they definitely should. But that would be the scare. The scare is that you sign Trae Young to this big deal, and then suddenly Trae Johnson becomes a star and is demanding a starting spot next year, like Dylan Harper is apparently doing behind the scenes with the Spurs, putting pressure on you to move this contract that maybe nobody wants. But I don't think Trae Johnson is in that position. I don't think the Spurs situation is anything like the Wizards situation, in the sense that the majority of the players that are good enough to do that are not playing Trae Young's position. Trae Johnson is a guy who's young, who needs to develop. He's not as far along as Dylan Harper. The Wizards are not expected to be in the finals. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing. And Trae Young, I think, is a much better player than De'Aaron Fox. So I don't expect him to struggle as bad, especially in high-level situations. So it's a different story, but it is the same kind of concern. You just hope that you didn't sign this guy to a deal that makes it more difficult for you to re-sign some of these young guys who won't be on rookie contracts for much longer. Sarr is going to be coming up. George's going to be coming up. You know what I mean? And before you know it, a couple years will pass and Devontae will be coming up. You got to pay these people. And if Trae Young's sitting there with a player option that he opts into because his career is going a different direction after 4 years from now, suddenly you could have a situation where you're trying to offload a big old massive contract for $49 million, and you don't have one of these kids' money, and they end up going to the Lakers or something. Like, you don't want that if you're the Wizards. So that's why I don't give him a player option. I just feel like that's too risky, to where the only reason why he's going to opt into that player option is because he's fallen off a cliff as a player. And in the event he falls off a cliff as a player, that's probably the same year, if I'm doing calculations, where DeBonsta should be up for getting paid. And if DeBonsta turns into what people expect DeBonsta to be, he's going to want that $250 million deal. You know what I mean? He's going to want that LaMelo Ball deal. He's going to want that. So you end up losing George or something. You end up losing Sarr or something. You know what I mean? Sarr is probably going to want that deal too. If he continues progressing the way he's been, he's going to be a good perimeter player. Rim protector is what I was trying to say. So you're going to need to pay him. All right, so who are you moving? If Anthony Davis is going to be on another one of these type of deals, is anybody going to want Anthony Davis on that type of deal? Are you going to be able to offload Trae Young as an expiring $40 and $51 million player option contract 4 years from now? That's a headache I wouldn't want to sign up for. No player options here. I would not have signed off on that. But I understand what the Wizards are doing, and so we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. So that's the latest going on in the NBA. That's what Shams has up until this hour posted. There's nothing that has happened since I turned on the camera here. We are on Giannis watch. I made a video on that earlier. Another team that I think could be potentially interesting for Giannis is the Wizards. If Anthony Davis and young players or picks are involved, they could actually pair Giannis up with Trae Young. It would probably cost them Sarr. It would probably cost them George. It would probably cost them future first from the 2030s. But I think the Wizards could put together a very competitive package for Giannis without giving up tomorrow's pick for DeBonsta. I think they could. Now, would they want to do that? I haven't heard anything that tells me they're trying to do that. But Anthony Davis and future stuff with a Bub Carrington and Keyshawn George and Trae Johnson could probably be something that extends past what Miami and Boston are offering, in my opinion. I think the Wizards can most definitely outbid those two teams. So that's just another one of those secret teams that could be coming out of nowhere. Although I don't think the Wizards are going to do that. I know the Bucks have shown interest in Anthony Davis in the past, not without Giannis in mind, but like just in general. That wouldn't be something I would completely just rule out. I do think that there's a world where they could get Anthony Davis to sign and trade. I don't think Anthony Davis wants to play for the Bucks, but maybe you find a third team for Anthony Davis and do that whole thing, get the Bucks back to plunder for that. I mean, there's ways. It's basically what I'm saying. That is not something to completely rule out. The Washington Wizards, if they're serious about exiting this timeline with young players and moving forward with Trae Young and something that could actually win a championship, if I had to choose between Anthony Davis or Giannis Antetokounmpo, the word for me would probably be Giannis. I don't think it's too hard right now at this stage in the game. I don't think it's too hard to even consider that. So, would it be something I would do ultimately? And I don't want to give up all that future to the Wizards. I wouldn't want to give up all of that, but I wouldn't rule them out. Maybe somebody in that front office may consider something like that. Maybe they've kicked the can or something like that behind the scenes. Who knows? But I wouldn't rule them out as a dark horse sleeper team for Giannis, since it has been said that there is a sleeper team out there for Giannis. They are one to look at. And that's what came to mind. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say, man. If anything comes up, of course, we'll talk about it. But for now, signing out. BDL44. Thank y'all for watching.